Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction. And I'm very pleased to speaking with you all this evening. If you can't tell by the end of the evening that passion for wine, food, and art just kind of oozes out, then I haven't done my job. But yes, so 13th Street Winery. So for those of you who are not familiar with our family winery, we're based in Niagara. We're just on the edge of St. Catharines in Jordan in the Niagara region. So we'd be celebrating our 25th anniversary for the winery next year and our 125th anniversary for our family farm. So before we get into the wines, pardon me?
I said cheers. Yeah.
Oh, cheers. Yes, cheers. So before we get into the wine, a little bit of a backstory. I won't talk too much before we get into the tasting part of the presentation. But 125 years. So for our farm, we're about 160 acres for our farm. So we grow primarily vineyards. We're at about a little over 60 acres of grapes, ranging from different types of vinifera, from Riesling, Chardonnay, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Grigio, and to a little bit of table grapes as well that we sell for fresh market. And we also grow tender fruit on our farm, so apricots, peaches, plums, red raspberries, black raspberries, and we use those fruits to sell fresh market as well as a bakery. We have a bakery on property as well. So within our business model, we have the winery and vineyard aspect. We have the bakery and tender fruit aspect. We have this art aspect as well with our art gallery and some overnight accommodations. But I'll get into a little bit of that later on. But over the years, the business has changed and expanded and evolved and downsized and upsized and had a lot of fun in between and some stressful times. But really excited where we're positioned today and moving forward. Cheers to you. We're going to be starting off with our traditional method sparkling wine, our Blanc De Blanc. So this wine right here, 100% Chardonnay. So the idea behind this wine, it's bright, it's fresh, it's very linear in its acidity. It's a wine that you can start your day off with. It just kind of brightens up the palate, fresh acidity, kind of lemon, lime, slight yeasty, slight autolysis, but really it's this fresh lemon. But we'll see what you think. So fresh, bright. Spends about 1 year on the lees. So really trying to maintain that freshness. Within our sparkling program, we do 100% traditional wines or traditional method wines. We don't do any Prosecco style or forced carbonation. All traditional method. We do about 6 sparkling wines within our portfolio, and that's really what we've been able to build our brand off of. So we're going to be trying a few of our bubbles tonight, and that's really what we've been able to establish our brand off of. So sparkling wine as well as our Gamay. And we do have a Gamay that we'll be trying a little bit later in the evening. Yes, so within our sparkling program, all traditional method sparkling, the lees aging ranges depending on which SKU or which type of wine that we're looking to work with. So the wines that we have in front of you, it's anywhere between 12 months and 5 years. So for example, the Blanc De Blanc, 1 year on the lees, it's fresh and bright and very linear, whereas the Grand Cuvée, the 100% Pinot Noir 2013 Grand Cuvée, 5 years on the lees, you get more autolysis, more this kind of voluptuousness associated with the wine. You're getting more of that yeasty, bready, biscuity notes coming forward in the wine versus the Blanc De Blanc. But yeah, over the last 25 or 24 years, the sparkling has been our forefront. We started about 1,000 cases in 1998, and over the years have grown. We had a large production increase in 2009, where we went from a few thousand cases to about 10,000 cases. A big jump. It was greater investment in infrastructure, tanks, and also bringing in more vines that we planted within kind of 2006, 2007, because it takes about three years to receive any fruit from a vineyard from plantation. So if you're planting in 2004, you might have a half crop in say 2006, 7. And now today, we're sitting at about 25,000 cases for the winery. So we're just on that echelon of we're still considered a small winery, but we're on the upper echelon of small. Some people might consider us a very small, medium-sized winery, if that makes sense. But yeah, 13th Street sparkling Gamay is our focus, is our specialty. Our mantra is wine, food, and art. If any of you have visited 13th Street before, our grounds is a big part of who we are. We have about 9 acres for the estate that's designated for open or green space, open land with a sculpture garden. That way you can have a glass of wine or a butter tart or baked goods, coffee, and go for a stroll and just kind of relax. Over the years, we made the decision not to plant out all of our land in order to allow space for expansion. Yeah, which has been a lot of fun last few years in particular. On the go right now, we're just finishing actually an outdoor kitchen, which we're hoping to have it done early June, but it's more looking early July. But that's how construction goes. Bubbles. So for those of you that have had the bubbles in your hand, what's the consensus? Are we enjoying them? Not so much? What's our pleasure?
One vote for the Blanc. Yeah, anybody else for certain ones? Which one would you like, Sam?
We only tried the Grand Cuvée.
Oh, the Grand Cuvée.
Grand Cuvée? Yeah, and the Grand Cuvée, it's a wine that we don't make every year. So the Grand Cuvée, in particular years where we think the sparkling program, we can hit a certain quality threshold. That's when we'll make the Grand Cuvée. So for example, we made a Grand Cuvée in 2007, 2013, and we have a Grand Cuvée coming out in that was put down in 2018. So we've only made 4 in the 24 years that we've been open. So pretty low. Yeah, low quantity, pretty special stuff.
So what can you tell us about the whites that we chose? Is there any little highlights or stories or anything about the ones that I brought in?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I just poured myself a little bit of June's Vineyard Chardonnay, or excuse me, Riesling. So this Riesling, it's a single vineyard Riesling, the June's Vineyard. So this Riesling, it's off dry to dry. It's got a touch of sweetness. Old vines, 1999. We allow the grapes to hang a little bit longer to provide a little bit more structure. So this wine, mineral driven. You're supposed to have this touch of sweetness that just kind of brightens up the palate. But this vineyard, it is a heavy clay. It is a love-hate relationship within this vineyard, but when you taste the wine, it's pretty special. It's heavy clay with these big chunks of limestone. You'll be driving through the vineyard with the tractor, and the entire tractor will give a pretty substantial lift with just hitting if you're cultivating or anything. These big chunks of limestone. So from a vineyard perspective, the June's Vineyard Riesling's a really interesting vineyard to wine relationship. It's one of my favorites, so I'm happy that you chose it. Our Vyšček Chardonnay, it's another single vineyard Chardonnay from the Vyšček vineyard, Lotto Vyšček. So that's from some sourced fruit. So we work with about 80% our own grapes versus 20% sourced fruit. The farthest vineyard we source from would be about 15 minutes away. And there's a block in Beamsville bench that we source some Syrah from. But most is from the estate or from our vineyards within a 2-minute drive. So the Vischek Vineyard Chardonnay, this is Chardonnay that's a little bit of oak contact within the wine. Year over year, it's between 12 and 18 months, depending on the vintage. But old casks, we're working with like 3rd, 4th use barrels, larger oak barrels, about 400-liter casks, barrel fermented, batonnage, so mixing the juice and the lees to get more contact to create more of a textured finish within this wine. That would be our top tier Chardonnay that we make at 13th Street. And also one of our winemakers' favorites. So I haven't mentioned our winemaker. He'd be upset with me that I didn't start with his name right off the bat, but Jean-Pierre Collas. So Jean-Pierre, he has been 13th Street head winemaker since 2009. So he's originally from France, from a little village just outside of Chablis in Burgundy. So loves his Chardonnay, loves his Pinot Noir, and loves his wine with food. He always has to make his wine food friendly. So keeping the acidity high enough that it can really work and blend with many different types of dishes. Mm-hmm.
Chardonnay guy?
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yes.
It's a good balance.
Chardonnay and the Riesling. Nice balance. Riesling, and then we have the Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc. Okay. So for those of you that have the Sauvignon Blanc, this is an example of the small percentage of fruit that we source. So this is from a family friend just down the road. So we don't grow our own Sauvignon Blanc, but we're very fortunate to have some farming relationships over the years that have been developed that we're able to source. So this Sauvignon Blanc, it's just classic French style Sauvignon Blanc. Like the aromatics just explode out of the glass.
This is a new one for you, right, Benjamin?
Yes. So we don't make Sauvignon Blanc every year. Yeah, we don't make Sauvignon Blanc every year. Done in stainless steel style, no malolactic fermentation. It's supposed to stay fresh and bright and just linear and fresh. And part of the reason why we don't make it every year is because we don't grow it ourselves. And for example, like I'm not sure whether any of the winemakers or owners that you've had with this program, whether they mentioned anything about winter damage. So this past year has been a really challenging year for a lot of farmers within the Niagara. We had, depending on where you were in Niagara, you could have -22 to -26. And if you have -26 and you're in a cold pocket and you don't have airflow and you have a more sensitive varietal like Sauvignon Blanc or Merlot, your vines are toast. It's you're fortunate if all your buds are dead and your vine is still alive, but most likely you're going to have from the roots up toast. But that is farming. I'd say on average, -15, 16. That's where for most varietals you're going to see the start of winter damage, and that could be a 10% threshold, 20% threshold, and then when you get up to down to the -22s, you can be losing a lot. So Sauvignon Blanc for this year will be hard to find. There will be a shortage of Merlot, and I won't go through all of the winter damage unless you guys want me to on our farm. But part of the, just made some insurance claims that are not always fun. But that's okay. That's part of farming and replanting. Yeah. So, thank you. Yeah, it's just flying off the shelf right now. Just flying off the shelf. And Jean-Pierre does a really, really good job as well with the Sauvignon Blanc. But yeah, from kind of an overarching overview of our white program, the idea is to maintain its acidity, maintain its freshness with the aromatics. For a wine like our Chardonnay with a little bit of oak contact, or Reserve Pinot Gris, Reserve Viognier. In any of our white programs, and no new barrels. They're either second, third, fourth, fifth use barrels within our white program, and a lot of the time we'll have 50% fermentation within the barrels, and then 50% fermentation within a stainless steel tank, and then blended together in order to maintain that freshness. Yeah.
Okay, what about your rosés and your orange wine?
The rosé, yeah. Okay, so rosés. So we have the Vin Gris as our expression Cab Franc for the rosé option and the intervention. So the Vin Gris is my favorite wines, and part of it's the flavor profile and the aromatics, but also the vineyard aspect as well. So with the Vin Gris, very particular winemaking. So our Gamay vineyard is on the estate. It's the vineyard you see if you visit 13th Street. It's the vineyard on the east side, or as soon as you come up the hill to the left. So you will be engulfed in Gamay if you visit us at 13th Street. So we use the first 6 rows of the western side because it ripens a little bit earlier. So we take those grapes and go right into the press. There's no maceration, no skin contact associated with this rosé, and we press it very, very lightly, about 0.2 bars. So very light extraction with this wine. So you get this really pale pink color, and then after the 0.2, we'll switch it to another tank, and then press the remaining, and that'll be declassified into a different wine. But the Vin Gris, it's very light extraction, cold fermentation, done in a southern France style, done a Provence style rosé. So it's fresh and bright rosé, and part of our start with our Gamay program. Whereas contrasting with our expression Cab Franc rosé, so this wine 100% Cab Franc, which this sees a little bit of maceration, a little bit of time on the skin, so to extract a little bit more color and have a contrast between the light pink straw to this more ruby bright pink color. So the expression Cab Franc rosé, it's more juicy and crunchy, and Jean-Pierre doesn't like it when I say like fruit punch, but because it is very dry. It is not a sweet rosé at all. It is low residual sugar, but it has this fruity, acidic punch to it that I associate this wine with. And it's part of our expression series, which we have a series of wines that we do a collaboration with OCAD University and Brock, where a portion of the sales go towards developing a bursary for a student within the sculpture program, which, if any of you looked at our websites or are familiar with 13th Street, art's a big part of who we are. But regarding those 2 rosés, you have Provence style, so light pink, very little extraction, aromatic, 100% Gamay, both low residual sugar, and then you have the Expression Rosé, which little bit of maceration, more that crunchy cranberry cherry flavor profile coming forward in the wine.
It's a nice contrast to have the two of them side by side, just for the difference.
I'm not sure if anyone has both the rosés together, but
I'm working on it.
if anyone does, I'd be interested to know the preference.
No, where's the? It's I only had the Vangry in my glass, so I'm putting the other one down. I had both. I really like it. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it back here, but they're singing their praises for the Cabernet Franc Rosé. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, that's good because I'm working on we're working on a production plan right now, and that one is slightly increasing production because it's well, people are enjoying it, so I'm glad you enjoy it because I think we're going to make a whole lot more of it.
All right. So next up is the maximum intervention.
Yes. So the maximum intervention is a little bit, it's a play on words. So the idea is it is a natural wine, and it was not a natural ferment, no yeast inoculation by us, just the yeast coming in from the vineyard. This wine, it's about little over 30 days on the skins, contact with the juice, allowing it to macerate and extract proteins and color within the wine. The idea of maximum intervention, the idea is you know exactly what's going on in the vineyard, you know exactly what's going on in the cellar because you are constantly keeping an eye on it, and you are confident in the quality of the fruit, the structural integrity of the fruit, that you don't need to do any sort of must adjustment or alchemy. You don't need to adjust the grapes or because you don't need to adjust grapes because you know exactly what's going on in the vineyard. So it's a little bit of a play on words within this wine. So we use 3 rows, so small production within this wine, no sulfur, skin contact for 30 days, and it has this like really cool texture to this wine. You're getting more front palate from the time on the skins, and there's also a little bit of whole bunch Riesling in there as well, to provide a little bit of texture within the wine. Yeah, it's this textural, a little bit spicy white wine that I really enjoy it. But we'll see what you think. Yeah, well, awesome, and it's a growing category as well. I was just in Toronto yesterday, visiting a few restaurant partners, and that was one of the things that brought up is orange wine, natural wine, whole cluster fermentation, a little bit of carbonic maceration. Some of the somms are looking for interesting textural wines. So the discussion right now is if we have the fruit quality, do we double down and create a program where there's several different maximum interventions? We currently have the white, the Riesling orange wine, and then we also have a Gamay maximum intervention that we do as well, which is a 50% whole bunch and 50% crush into stem wine that's fermented together. That's really, really interesting.
I like interesting. It's always fun when you get to try different things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we do in is we may ferment individual clones together, or individual clones separate, or individual blocks of vineyard separate, and then ultimately we may blend them together and create a larger skew wine. But we do that in order to see throughout the fermentation process. If there's any interesting characteristics or a single vineyard, single clone wine that we want to showcase, or that reaches a certain echelon or a certain quality threshold that we think worth showcasing, which creates more work if you're doing a bunch of small fermentations or 3-ton tanks versus a 15-ton tank or 15,000 liter tank. But it can create opportunity for exploration and understanding your vineyard, because within your vineyard you can have very different flavor profiles based on the soil composition, especially where we are, where at the southern end of a block you may have a pretty heavy clay, and the northern side it might be like the percentage of sand might be significantly higher. So
it's interesting. All right,
yeah.
Speaking of your vineyard, get on to your Gamay from the Whitty dinner.
Yes. So Whitty. Okay. So we have our Whitty Gamay and our Pinot Noir. So I'm much more known for our Gamay on the property. So this is made from estate fruit. So this wine, medium light bodied, made in a like Pinot Noir style, no carbonic maceration. So this is looking to be crunchy and fresh, and I recommend slightly chilling this wine as well. But within this wine, there's 3 different. It's a labor of love. It is 3 different maceration techniques. We do punch downs, we do pump overs, and then we do what's called delistage, where we'll take the tank and we'll remove all of the juice out of the tank, just leaving skins and seeds skins and seeds, and then we'll leave it for 4 hours. So you have one tank with skin, seeds, stems, and then you have another tank with juice. We leave it for 4 hours and then pump it back over the top, and you have this like kind of general or very light like juice is just kind of percolated through the skins. You get this really gentle extraction. So this wine, it's a labor of love, but I certainly think it's worth it. Small batch production. You're getting more in the cherry raspberry spectrum within this wine, and completely unoaked, no oak contact within this wine. Looking to be more of that Beaujolais Premier Cru style, not the Beaujolais Nouveau, but Beaujolais Premier Cru. We'll see what you think.
That's the one I'm going to have after this. Yeah, that was good.
Awesome.
Yeah, really good. Nice. That's going to be a good summer recommendation for us on the patio. Because when people are not drinking. Hey, Mike likes it. Yeah, so it's a big hit here.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's a smaller batch production. We do 3 Gamays on the property. We have our estate Gamay, a larger production. We have our Whitty Gamay, smaller production, but really looking for that pure Gamay expression. And then we have our Sandstone Gamay that has a little bit of oak influence to the wine, a little bit. It's touch rounder, more stewed fruits versus like fresh and bright fruit.
That's really good.
Yeah. All right, and then we have Pinot. So, our Pinot Noir. So I mentioned Jean-Pierre Collat. He is from Burgundy. So along with his Chardonnay, also loves his Pinot Noir. So we have our Pinot Noir produced from the fruit that's from the estate. We have a 5.2 acre block on the southern part of our property that we source this fruit from. So very classic style Pinot Noir winemaking within this wine. You are 30-day maceration or fermentation, pressed off into 400-liter oak casks, second, third, fourth use barrels. So you get a little bit of oak influence within this wine, but like the fruit I find really maintains its integrity. So you get this more a cherry pit, with a little bit of that. I don't want to say sweet wood, but there's this little like sweet light vanilla essence from the oak that kind of rounds everything together within this wine.
It's like a cherry pie.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this little kind of warm spice to the wine. Yeah, and about 8 months in French oak, and all of our wines that have oak influence are French oak. They range from different coopers, but it's all French oak.
Well, keeping it authentic.
We did experiment with an Austrian Hungarian oak barrel a few years back, but yeah, that was an interesting trial. But now we're all French.
All French. All right, last but not least.
Yes, the expression Cab Franc. So.
That's our big red. You got that one?
Yes. Big red. So yeah, our Essence Cab Franc. So our Essence series is part of our winemaker signature series. So it's a wine that he has full control, full artistic expression, and so he'll choose a varietal year over year that he wants to showcase, or thinks the quality is there. So for this, the 2018 was the Cab Franc, and he also has full control over aging. So there's no logistic pressure to get this wine to market. So it's he can have as long oak influence or as short, really what he's looking to showcase, and it comes through within this wine. So this Cabernet Franc is intense. It has a little bit more weight on the palate. It's low yield within the vineyard. So we're really looking to concentrate the fruit. We allow the fruit to hang a little bit longer on the vine, so there's a little bit of a natural desiccation where the grapes will start to shrivel up a little bit. So you have a higher, or you have a lower sugar to water ratio within the berry, so it condenses and you're able to extract more color. But yeah, it's a rich oak integrated wine that we'll see what you think, but quite lovely.
Considering how you have such a light touch with a lot of the other wines, and now with the sparkling, and then this Cab Franc is so dark. It's dark. It's just such a contrast to the other wines that we're showcasing tonight. That's for sure.
And to give you an idea of the difference in yield, this block we keep it about 1.5 acres or 1.5 tons to the acre, whereas most of the Cab Franc that we'll farm will be about 3.5 to the acre. So really cutting down yield so that the vines have more opportunity to provide energy to or focus on lesser amounts of bunches. Yeah, and over the years we've done Cab Franc, Syrah, Meritage, Chardonnay. It really depends on the year and what Jean-Pierre is looking to do.
Yeah, well, I said I think we're pretty proud of the whole lineup that we got. It's very good. And so if I didn't explain to you before, so besides just tonight, we actually feature the 13th Street wines for the rest of the weekend as well. So so we're going to basically take a consensus and choose 3 wines from tonight that we still have left, and that's going to be our feature flight for the rest of the weekend. So anyone who's coming to 13th Street as well. So that's the whole idea. This is 13th Street week here. So.
Awesome.
Oh, we have a question here. Right.
Wines were tremendously amazing, and congratulations to you and your team. It's a bit of an odd question, but just the name 13th Street. Has it always been that exactly, and is it more related to that, or what's behind the name?
Yeah, it's great question. So originally it was on 13th Street. So the history behind the winery. So there was 13th Street started in 1998. It was originally established by four amateur winemakers and friends. And there was a vineyard owner, a lawyer, Steele Smith, Jacob Jacobson. Anyways, group of friends, and they came together and started a winery in amateur winemaking and focused on quality small batch Gamay and sparkling, and did a few hundred cases. I think they maxed out about 800 cases, and then got to the point in 2005 where they were looking to sell. And that's where two families came together. You have the Mann family and then the Whitty family came and purchased 13th Street in 2005, and then moved it from 13th Street onto 4th Avenue, where we are today. It's more kind of the center of our farm, and more higher traffic, a little bit closer to the highway, and more opportunity to expand. So to answer your question, it used to be on 13th Street. And now it's on 4th Avenue, and we get that question a fair often. But the reason we didn't change it is because the brand was already established, and there were some restaurant sales, and there was already somewhat of a built-up market. And if we were to change the name, we would have lost some of those clientele, and we knew how to grow grapes. But the business of wine, we had to learn pretty quick.
I appreciate it. Now I can appreciate and connect the dots. So thank you.
Yeah, but it is a fun conversation. Or some people, and I respect their opinion, are still confused. And why didn't you just change the name? It doesn't make any sense. You're on 4th Avenue, and other people find it well, kind of funny. Yeah.
Makes sense. Where it started. Does anybody else have any questions? No, I think everybody's busy drinking. Sorry.
Very good.
Actually,
Oh, one more.
one last question. You casually referenced something about people could stay on the premises, Airbnb or something?
Yeah. Yes. So one of the new things that we have on the farm is we have overnight accommodations now. So we have two vineyard cottages that we rent out. They would be about 100 meters, a stone throw away from the winery, and then the other one would be about 2 stone throws away from the winery. So for example, tonight we have live music and food service, and we have people staying at the cottage, and they're enjoying music, and then they'll walk or stumble back to the cottage. And it's 4 bedrooms, sleeps 8, king size bed each room, fireplace, grand room. Information is on our website, and we book it through Airbnb.
Oh, very good. I also happen to own a couple Airbnb properties myself, so I'm quite familiar. So we like to stay with other Airbnb hosts when we're traveling. So now, we're thinking. So we're coming in July, so I might be looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm coming in down for I4C.
Oh, awesome. Okay. If it's a weekend, we would be booked. But so if you are ever down, let me know, and I'll block off the date for you guys.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to be, so we'll be down there. I know we had to book accommodations. We know how busy it gets down there for I4C. And I'll be coming in to come and stroll the vineyards and look around and stuff when I'm down there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you can if you guys are down, you can check out the art gallery as well. We have an art gallery on property where we generally rotate every 5-6 weeks, where we'll have generally 3 Canadian-based artists and showcase their work, and yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you.